What's happening, y'all? In this episode, you are in for quite the literal journey. Lines 552 to 648 of Book 2 characterize the exploration and mapping of Hell's geography, shifting from the internal intellectual distractions of the demons to the objective horror of their physical prison. Milton frames this spatial exploration through highly elusive encyclopedic references to classical mythology. The rivers of hell are explicitly named after Greek concepts of sorrow and mourning: the Styx, Acheron, Cocytus, and Phlegethon, and the vast frozen regions evoke the classical underworld. The section begins with 4 squads of fallen angels riding out to discover their world. Milton characterizes this through classical allegorical geography. Each squad follows one of Hell's major rivers: the Styx, the flood of deadly hate; Acheron, the black and muddy stream of sorrow; Cocytus, named for the loud lamentations heard on its banks; and the Phlegethon, a torrent of liquid raging fire. This provides vital context for the reader. Hell is not a monotonous lake of fire, but a complex, highly structured continent of diverse torments. Milton meticulously links physical landscapes to psychological states, ensuring that wherever the demons fly, they are literally immersed in their own grief and sin. Alright, enough of that. Let's jump back into it together. In the last episode, we ended with the conclusion of the demonic council. Now, Milton, the narrator, continues, saying, "Their song was partial, but the harmony, what could it less when spirits immortal sing? Suspended hell, and took with ravishment the thronging audience. In discourse more sweet, for eloquence the soul, song charms the sense. Others apart sat on a hill retired, in thoughts more elevate, and reasoned high of providence, foreknowledge, will, and fate. Fixed fate, free will, foreknowledge absolute, and found no end, in wandering mazes lost. Of good and evil much they argued then, of happiness and final misery, passion and apathy, and glory and shame, vain wisdom all, and false philosophy. Yet with a pleasing sorcery could charm pain for a while, or anguish, and excite fallacious hope, or arm the obdured breast with stubborn patience as with triple steel. Another part in squadrons and gross bands, on bold adventure to discover wide that dismal world, if any clime perhaps might yield them easier habitation, bend 4 ways their flying march, along the banks of 4 infernal rivers, that disgorge into the burning lake their baleful streams. Abhorred Styx, the flood of deadly hate; sad Acheron of sorrow, black and deep; Cocytus, named of lamentation loud, heard on the rueful stream; fierce Phlegethon, whose waves of torrent fire inflame with rage. Far off from these a slow and silent stream, Lethe, the river of oblivion, rolls her watery labyrinth, whereof who drinks forthwith his former state and being forgets both joy and grief, pleasure and pain. Beyond this flood a frozen continent lies dark and wild, beat with perpetual storms of whirlwind and dire hail, which on firm land thaws not, but gathers heap and ruin seams of ancient pile. All else deep snow and ice, a gulf profound as that Serbonian bog betwixt Damiata and Mount Cassius old, where armies whole have sunk. The parching air burns furor, and cold performs the effect of fire. Thither by harpy-footed furies hailed, at certain revolutions all the damned are brought, and feel by turns the bitter change of fierce extremes, extremes by change more fierce. from beds of raging fire to starve in ice their soft ethereal warmth, and there to pine immovable, infixed, and frozen round periods of time, thence hurried back to fire. They ferry over this Lethean sound, both to and fro, their sorrow to augment, and wish and struggle as they pass to reach the tempting stream with one small drop to lose in sweet forgetfulness all pain and woe, all in one moment, and so near the brink. But fate withstands, and to oppose the attempt, Medusa with Gorgonian terror guards the ford, and of itself the water flies, all taste of living white, as once it fled the lip of Tantalus. Thus roving on in confused march forlorn, the adventurous bands with shuddering horror pale, and eyes aghast, viewed first their lamentable lot, and found no rest. Through many a dark and dreary vale they passed, and many a region dolorous, o'er many a frozen, many a fiery Alp, rocks, caves, lakes, fens, bogs, dens, and shades of death, a universe of death, which God by curse created evil, for evil only good, where all life dies, death lives, and nature breeds, perverse, all monstrous, all prodigious things, abominable, unutterable, and worse than fables yet have feigned, or fear conceived, gorgons and hydras and chimeras dire. Meanwhile, the adversary of God and man, Satan, with thoughts inflamed of highest design, puts on swift wings and towards the gates of hell explores his solitary flight. Sometimes he scours the right-hand coast, sometimes the left. Now shaves with level wing the deep, then soars up to the fiery concave, touring high. As when far off at sea a fleet descried hangs in the clouds by equinoctial winds, close sailing from Bengala or the isles of Ternate and Tidor, whence merchants bring their spicy drugs. They on the trading flood through the wide Ethiopian to the Cape ply, stemming nightly toward the pole. So seemed far off the flying fiend. At last appear hell bounds, high reaching to the horrid roof, and thrice threefold the gates, three folds with brass, three iron, three of adamantine rock. Impenetrable, impaled with circling fire, yet unconsumed. Wow. That's all for today. Until next time, ciao.